What an incredible turn of events in the Democrat primary on Super Tuesday. Pete Buttigieg, Amy Klobuchar, everyone having a part in it. Bernie Sanders on the ropes. Also, Chuck Schumer, Senate Minority Leader, has literally threatened two Supreme Court judges on tape. I'm Randall Terry. This is Voice of Resistance. Welcome to the program, friend. I hope that you enjoy the analysis that I'm going to give you. You can get numbers anywhere, but I'm going to give you a look on the inside of some of the thinking of the Democrat leaders and what's going on with Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, Mike Bloomberg, a whole lot of them. All right, let's start with Joe Biden. As you know, we covered in our last program, Joe Biden won South Carolina by a fairly hefty margin, and then was able to prevail on Amy Klobuchar and Pete Buttigieg to get out of the race. And Amy Klobuchar and Pete Buttigieg both publicly, in public events, asked people to vote for Biden. Amy Klobuchar, in her home state of Minnesota, was winning. She was light years ahead of everybody for the primary. And when she pulled out and asked people to vote for Biden, her supporters agreed to it. And Biden took the state in a landslide. So Biden won 10 states. Bernie, it appears, won 4. The delegates have not been fully allotted. Biden, there's 284 delegates that are, at the time of this taping, that are still to be awarded. Several of the states still don't have the full counts in, and then they have to do their mathematic wonders, about 15% for the whole state, and then 15%, many of them have in each congressional district within the state. So as of right now, of this taping, Biden has jumped into the delegate lead by a little bit, but of the 284 that are left, many of them are from California, and it's very possible that Bernie is going to yet again be ahead in the delegate count. So Steyer's out of the race. Klobuchar's out of the race. Pete Buttigieg is out of the race. And of course, the big news is that Mike Bloomberg is out of the race. Now, we're going to come to Elizabeth Warren in a minute, but let's talk about Bloomberg for a minute. His collapse in the numbers was almost as insane and crazy as Biden's meteoric rise, almost from the political dead. As we covered in this program 10 or 14 days ago, Bloomberg was polling second around the country. In some of the Super Tuesday states, he was neck and neck for first place with Bernie Sanders, or within striking distance, within the margin of error. So for him to collapse and to come away with only 5 states that awarded him anything when he got over the 15% threshold, he came in second, it looks like, in California, third in the rest of the states. He won American Samoa. But the amount of money that he spent in the Super Tuesday states is estimated, just in those states, to be $200 million. So him getting out of the race was sudden, but it was mathematical. People universally say, at least in the media world, that Bloomberg is no dummy. He's into the numbers. He's into the analytics. And once he saw how he finished, he knew that he did not have a path to the nomination. And because he despises what Bernie Sanders stands for, he pulled out of the race and said, I want you to support Biden. Now, here's what's really important about the Bloomberg entrance into the race and his exit. And there's going to be a lot of conjecture in the coming weeks. Bloomberg, according to former presidential candidate Yang, Bloomberg basically promised all the people that he hired, 2,200 staff, that they would have a job through November. He, in his mind, when he got into the race, he knew he was taking a gamble to avoid the first 4 states. And he knew that he had an uphill battle to get delegates and to march on to a potential victory or a brokered convention in the in the Democrat convention, should it not have a clear winner. By paving the way for these people to be employed, for 2,200 people to be employed, he is in a position where he can turn over lock, stock, and barrel to Joe Biden or to the Democrat Party or to some independent expenditure. They're working on the financial and the legal details right now, but he can turn over an infrastructure to help Joe Biden get elected that no one else could do. They say that his numbers and his computer analysis and the ability that they have to collect data, it rivals President Trump's. And the millions of dollars that he poured into creating almost overnight an infrastructure to take all the way to November. I believe that in his mind, he hates President Trump so much that he said, I'm going to build this house. I'm going to build this political mansion. And whether I get to live in it or Biden gets to live in it or somebody else, it can't be Bernie. He said, I'm going to create this mansion so that we can take out President Trump. I believe that there's going to be a lot of conjecture about this, as I said, in the coming weeks and months, but it would make sense. Here's a way for him to get way ahead of the curve and to have his fingerprints all over it, get to be touted as the hero should Joe Biden or some so-called moderate Democrat win the nomination and beat Trump. He would go down in history as the guy who built the political ark so that all the Democrat animals could come 2 by 2 and be saved from the Trump flood. I've got to take a break. When we come back, we'll look at other elements of this race, Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, and then, of course, we will show you the footage of Senator Schumer threatening 2 sitting Supreme Court judges. Please don't go away. Introducing Roxy Guitar. If you're a guitar or bass player, whether you play acoustic or electric, check out Roxy Guitar. I've been playing for over 40 years and seen guitar stores all over America. I've never seen a store like Roxy Guitar. Roxy Guitar has over 700 guitars in stock, over 1,500 pedals, over 200 amps. For the beginner or price-conscious buyer, there's Michael Kelly guitars. For the serious player or professional, Roxy Guitar has the finest selection of guitar lines I've ever seen. You know I love Warrior guitars. Roxy Guitar has over 100 Warriors in stock. They have Heritage, G&L, Gretsch, John Sears, BC Rich, Duesenberg, Dean, legendary guitars at great prices, including pre-owned Gibsons, Fenders, and more. Let them know you heard about Roxy Guitar from Randall Terry and receive 10% or more off your purchase on select items. Go to roxyguitar.com. Welcome back, friend. Let's talk about Joe Biden for a few minutes and the Democrats coalescing around him. At this point, all hands are on deck, or most hands are on deck, to have Joe Biden win the nomination. Now, I made the prediction 3-4 months ago that it would be a Biden-Buttigieg ticket. In the last 2 weeks, I thought, wow, Joe Biden is just fading fast. It's not looking really good for him. He did well with South Carolina. I certainly did not see this type of a comeback. I thought maybe if there's a brokered convention, he could squeak it out because they don't want Bernie. But that comes to the crux of this whole thing. Let's compare Joe Biden's presidency or his presidential campaign and those people that are absolutely committed to stopping Bernie Sanders, the Democrats who are committed to stopping him. Let's compare it to the Never Trumpers. You will remember that there were a lot of Republicans who were Never Trumpers. The Weekly Standard was a very prestigious magazine for a long time. It's now gone. Bill Kristol was one of the Never Trumpers. He ended up just going into the wilderness. No one hears from him anymore. I guess he's got some website or something, but his voice as an intellectual Republican, was silenced. His flame was all but snuffed out. The Republican Party has, by and large, become the party of Trump, the Trump Republican Party. The money, the manpower, the momentum, it's because of Donald Trump's presidency. And the never-Trumpers, they're in the wilderness. They're being ignored. They don't have their hands on the levers of power. They don't have their hands anywhere near the levers of power. So look at Bernie and Biden. The establishment Democrats are terrified of Bernie Sanders. For some of them, it's because of what he believes. For some of them, it's just the packaging. Grumpy old man, rarely smiles, constantly yelling, picking a fight with Wall Street, with pharmaceuticals, with the insurance industry, demanding universal health care for free for everyone, college and universities free for everyone, daycare, 6 months to kindergarten, free for everyone. So there are some Democrats who are saying, whoa, who is going to pay for this? There are some Democrats who really are hardcore socialists, and we're just tinkering around the edges with numbers. How do we tax the rich more? How do we tax Wall Street more? So you've got the Democrat establishment that some of them are terrified of Bernie because of what he stands for. Probably more of them are terrified of him because of the packaging and because they don't want the ship boarded. There's a television program called The Young Turks. And the host of that program, a couple of years ago, when he was fighting to get Ilhan Omar and Ocasio-Cortez elected, he said on his show, we're going to board the ship. We're going to take it over. We are going to take over the Democrat Party. They set out to do it, and they've made significant headway. And Bernie Sanders is the captain of their pirate ship trying to take over the main ship. So these Democrats who fear Bernie because of content, or more often than not probably because of his packaging, he dares to call himself a socialist. He dares to say he's at war with the rich and with billionaires. For those reasons, they are terrified of having him be the Democrat nominee, and they are committed to doing anything they can to stop him. They say it's because they fear what would happen down ticket. If it's Trump at the top on one side and all the people under him running, and Bernie at the top on another and all the people under him running, they're afraid that Trump will trounce Bernie and that other people way down the line are going to get trounced because people are going to walk in and say, click, 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 Trump, 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 and then all of Trump's friends, only one click for Trump, and that a lot of the Democrats who are so-called moderates will either go to Trump or just stay home. So they're terrified of what that would mean. But there's something more. They're terrified of becoming like Bill Kristol. If Bernie Sanders was to win the nomination and his people were to flood into the Democrat Party and it became the party of Bernie, the Republican Party is the party of Trump, well, heaven only knows how many hundreds, thousands of people that are part of the apparatus of the Democrat Party at the national and state level. Lord only knows how many, and I mean that, Lord only knows how many of those people would suddenly be out in the cold. They would no longer have their hands on the levers of power because Bernie's people would. And I think that there are as many people inside of the Democrat machine, on the Democrat plantation, the masters, the masses of the Democrat plantation. I think there's as many of them, and I say that comedically and with respect, there are as many of them that are committed to stopping Bernie for their own sakes as they are for the good of the party or a fear that Bernie can't win. They don't want the ship boarded by the Young Turks. They don't want the levers of power in the hands of Bernie and his followers because of what it will mean for them. Their loss of money, loss of prestige, loss of power, loss of the parties. And so they're committed. They are committed now to getting behind a candidate that they know cannot possibly keep pace with President Trump. Because if they go down in flames with Biden, the infrastructure, the people with their hands on the levers, it all remains the same. It's the status quo, and they can set their sights on 2024. Trust me on this, it's true. I'm going to take a break. More about the Democrats and about Chuck Schumer with this absolutely chilling threat to 2 sitting Supreme Court judges. Don't go away.
I also want to speak tonight directly to Muslims throughout the world. We respect your faith. Its teachings are good and peaceful. And those who commit evil in the name of Allah blaspheme the name of Allah.
We have reaffirmed again and again that the United States is not and never will be at war with Islam. Islam teaches peace.
Islam is a religion of peace. They are not Muslims, they are monsters.
We've been told that Muslim terrorists have hijacked the peaceful religion of Islam. But Islamic art and literature tell a very different story. To know the truth, we only have to study the narrative of the founder of Islam, Muhammad, in his own words. Welcome back, friend. Joe Biden swept many of the southern states because of a massive turnout in voters, especially African-American voters. The Virginia numbers were through the roof. He took Texas, which no one saw coming. So here's what's happening. Right now, there's only 3 true contenders left in the race. As of this filming, you've got Biden, you've got Bernie, and you've got Elizabeth Warren. She is talking privately with people about pulling out of the race. The question will be when. She might have done it by the time this show airs. It will be on what terms. And the question will be, does she endorse Biden? Does she endorse Bloomberg? She's way more closely aligned with Bloomberg than she is Biden. We'll see. We know that winning debates doesn't win elections because everyone said Elizabeth Warren was a great debater. We know that having great position papers like Elizabeth Warren doesn't mean that you will win the nomination. We know that having a buttload of money like Bloomberg had doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win the nomination. So this has been a very instructive 2 weeks. We'll keep our eyes on it. We'll keep reporting to you what we see happening. We've got to move now quickly to Chuck Schumer. He stood out in front of the Supreme Court today while the Supreme Court was hearing a case. And he made the following statement. Listen with your own ears.
And Justices Gorsuch came to the bench. We know what's at stake. Over the last 3 years, women's reproductive rights have come under attack in a way we haven't seen in modern history. From Louisiana to Missouri to Texas, Republican legislatures are waging a war on women, all women. And they're taking away fundamental rights. I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price. You won't know what hit you if you go forward with these awful decisions.
Chief Justice Roberts issued a statement after he saw this video. This morning, Senator Schumer spoke at a rally in front of the Supreme Court while a case was being argued inside. Senator Schumer referred to 2 members of the court by name, and he said he wanted to tell them that you have released the whirlwind and you will pay the price. You will not know what hit you if you go forward with these awful decisions. Justices know that criticism comes with the territory, but threatening statements of this sort from the highest levels of government are not only inappropriate, they are dangerous. All members of the court will continue to do their job without fear or favor from whatever quarter. Make no mistake, friends, this was a threat. Now, here's the question. Who is Schumer threatening? Or what was he truly calling for? He's a smart man. He's an insidious, evil man, but he knows what a dog whistle does. So number one, I think he truly was trying to intimidate those two judges. I think that they're sitting home tonight in their houses wondering who has posted online their home address, wondering if the police protection that they have on a regular basis would be enough if someone tried to assassinate one of them. That's number one. Number two, it's also a message to the next Trump appointee. Trump, should he win the election, and if somebody retires or dies before the election, he will have the opportunity to appoint another justice. Any potential justice has already watched the Schumer threat repeatedly, has read John Roberts' response, and they're thinking, do I need this? Do I want this? So it's an act of intimidation against other potential judges. And another thing, to me, this feels like a call for violence from the rabble. You won't know what hit you. You'll pay the price. You've sown the wind. The rest of the phrase is you'll reap the whirlwind. But when those, you have released the whirlwind. I'm sorry, that's what he said. That phrase usually is associated with cataclysmic turmoil, difficulty, upheaval, violence. I think that he was telling the promoters of child killing, get ready to unleash violence in America. It certainly was a threatening statement. I've got to take a quick break. I'm going to give you a quick illustration when I come back. What Would Mohammed Do? Islamic Terrorism Explained is the best movie series documentary ever produced on the life of Muhammad and Islam. How do I know? Because it's what critics are saying. John Moore, radio host and author, said, I learned more from What Would Mohammed Do about Islam and Islamic terrorism than I've learned from everything I ever read and watched in my entire life. Best-selling author Dr. Bill Warner said, What Would Mohammed Do is the best movie series, TV production on the life of Muhammad and Islamic terrorism that has ever been produced. Friends, this is what the experts are saying. No one has ever done what we've done. I encourage you to get 1, 2, 4 copies. Call 304-289-3700. That's 304-289-3700, or order it at the address or the website that you see on the screen. Can you imagine if someone stood in front of Chuck Schumer's home or in front of his office, close by him, like he was in the proximity of the Supreme Court, and then stood there and said, Chuck Schumer! Crowds around, cameras around, microphones. Chuck Schumer, if you continue promoting the killing of babies, you won't know what hit you. You will pay the price. Does anyone think that that would sound like a threat? Can anyone imagine a U.S. senator saying that about Chuck Schumer in front of his office? Can anyone imagine a House member, a governor, an elected official making that kind of threat against Chuck Schumer? Listen, those words to a Supreme Court justice, it's not like they're voted in and out. When you make a statement like that, you could say something similar to that about Chuck Schumer. You won't know what hit you. Oh, I was talking about the ballot box. There's no ballot for Supreme Court justices. It's an appointment for life. This again goes to the fact that they are violent people. People who promote the murder of babies by abortion, like Chuck Schumer, they are wedded to violence, to unjust, unholy shedding of innocent blood. And so for him to stand up there and make these threats, whether it's to the justices, to other potential judges, or calling on the rabble to rise up with violence, that's what they're all about. Shedding of innocent blood, violence. Talk to you next time.